What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam, hope everyone is doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday, guys. It's here. Championship week for majority of fantasy managers. Week 17 of the NFL season is here. Week 17 of the 2022 fantasy football season is here. This season has flown by. I know I've talked about this a lot, like the beginning of every stream, but really, this season absolutely flew by. But nonetheless, you guys know what time it is, baby. Time for some live Week 17 fantasy Q&A. So, hop in the live chat, man. Let me know what you guys need. Start, sits, ads, drops. Who you eyeing on the waiver wire? Roster confidence, roster non-confidence. Who's on your bench? Who do you think could slide into your starting lineup? Injury updates, potential weather updates, although it's pretty early in the week. Whatever it is, man. Hop in the live chat. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football tonight. Hit that like button on the way in. Hit that subscribe button, of course, if you're new to the channel. And hop in the live chat. Let me know what's popping, guys. And even if you're not competing in your respective fantasy championship for your league, if you're playing for third place, and a lot of leagues still have a prize for third place, right? A lot of leagues have a consolation bracket prize, which is a nice way of saying the toilet bowl. But whatever it may be, let's talk about it, man. Let me know where you guys are at, and let's do it. Let's have some fun tonight. So we only have like 2 more weeks of this. It's just crazy. I mean, we'll do fantasy Q&A through week 18. I know not everyone participates in week 18, but like this is, I don't know. I just can't believe this season's really wrapping up, man. So Godfather with the super chat. Member for 4 months. Appreciate that support, man. What a fun season was. Good luck to those in the finals. John, I'm going to have to put a beat down on you for third. Man, I'm sized for the Catch Fam Auction League matchup we've got this week, man. Third place does get your deposit back plus $10. So I'm pretty excited to compete for it with you, man. It should be fun. So I appreciate all your support this season, man. I know you came on to the channel like right before the season started, and we've enjoyed having you, man. You've been a great member of the community, and I appreciate you being a member of the channel, but more importantly, just appreciate you always being super active in the chat and helping out other members of the community, and just appreciate everything you do for the channel, man. It's been a really fun season with you for sure, bro, and good luck to you this weekend, because you're gonna need it. Just kidding. Should be fun, bro. All right, Carlos, what's going on, bro? For some reason, the chat's cutting off at the top. Whenever I do a poll, it's been doing this lately. So I'm kind of having to decipher things here. But let me see here. Okay, so Tua out. Who's my best choice? Wentz, Minshew, White, Watson, and Teddy B. I probably go Minshew if he's the starter. If not, I go Mike White. Like, those are the 2 guys I'm looking at for sure out of this bunch. I don't want to risk Carson Wentz. Watson's ceiling has been extremely low. Bridgewater, I just don't feel comfortable with it, man. So I definitely, if Minshew's a starter, he's fine. But Mike White against Seattle is a pretty good stream as well. So I like both of those guys. Carlos, should I drop Mike Williams or DJ Moore for Romeo Doubs? I probably wouldn't. You know, I like Dobbs' potential a lot this week. Especially if Watson doesn't play. So, but like, you know, you just kind of ask yourself the question, right? When you're looking at Mike Williams and DJ Moore, you're getting 2 really solid floor plays. Like, you know what these guys are going to bring to the table. And, you know, if they score, they bring a lot of upside, right? DJ Moore, a touchdown in his last 2 games. Really, like, you know, since week 12, a touchdown in every game that he's, you know, fully played in at the end of the day, right? Because in week 14 he was hurt, but you know, he's given you 18 or more fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games, and he scored a touchdown in all 3 of those games. He's giving you that amount of points. So DJ Moore's been good, and the Panthers and the Buccaneers are fighting for the potential playoff spot here, right? So this is going to be a good competitive game at the end of the day. So I think DJ Moore is a player to start. Mike Williams, on the other hand, the Chargers are actually fighting for the best potential seeding. So we talked about this last night. We talked about, like, do the Chargers have anything to play for at all? And I was like, I don't think so. But then I was reading on Reddit, on the Chargers subreddit, about their, so it's really confusing right now with the playoffs, both on the AFC and NFC. Not for all the teams, but like when we look at the NFC East, there's a lot of scenarios and a lot of reasons like why the Cowboys would want to win this week. There are reasons why the Chargers will want to win this week and next week. So Chargers still competitive enough team here at the end of the season, right? Mike Williams, a safe floor, and still a player at the high ceiling, So, like, it's super close, man. Because Romeo Doubs has the matchup of a lifetime against the Vikings, right? No offense after the review, I saw you in the chat. But, it's just so tough, man. I'd probably hold Williams and DJ Moore. They got you this far, right? And then, like, I don't think we have a clear update on Watson. He's still considered day-to-day. Because like that's the big play with Romeo Doubs, right? Because Doubs had 6 targets last week, 3 receptions, 36 receiving yards. The week before, 5 targets, 5 receptions, 55 receiving yards. Like, when we look at this Green Bay receiving core, it's still very tough to read. There's a lot of upside with Doubs, but he's still a boom or bust play, even if Watson is out. You're still looking at boom or bust potential here. Like Lazard and Watson feel like the 2 safe plays. But then when you look at the Giants receiving core last week, Hodgins, James, and Slayton all had fairly good games against Minnesota because their secondary doesn't exist. If it was me, as tempting as it is to take that upside play, I'd probably just stick with the players that got you here. I'd probably stick with Mike Williams and DJ Moore. But as always, especially this time of year, trust your gut. Follow your own conviction. Just giving you my thoughts. After the review, Vikings ending Rodgers' career. I think it's a really interesting game here, man. And because the Vikings definitely fighting for something this weekend, right? Because obviously if the Eagles lose enough here, the Vikings can take the number 1 overall seed and get that bye week, because Vikings are 12-3. The Eagles are 13-2 as of last week. So this is a big game for the Vikings, especially because if the Vikings lose, well, then you've got the Cowboys with 4 losses. You've got the Niners with 4 losses. I guess the Cowboys couldn't take the number 1 seed because the Eagles are still in front of them. No, they could. They'd have if the Cowboys won out, since they beat the Eagles last week and the Eagles lose out, they could take it. As long as the Vikings also lose. Gosh. There's so many scenarios. It's going to be really, I think after this week it'll be a little bit more clear. But there are a lot of scenarios all over the place with the playoffs right now. But back to my point, this is going to be a competitive game for the Vikings for sure. Pete, let me know, man. I mean, I'm kind of rooting to see the Packers in the playoffs, man. I'd rather watch them than, like, Washington. If the Giants make it, I'm fine with that. But, like, Packers, Lions, Seahawks are all teams I'd be interested to watch. And honestly, as awful as their offense has been, I'd like to see the Bucks over the Panthers or Saints. But one of these teams that sucks will make it in. And I think with the AFC, probably I bet you the Patriots find a way in. It doesn't feel like every year like right now you've got the Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, Chargers, Jags, Dolphins. I'd be good with that, right? But I bet you the Dolphins lose out and the Patriots find a way in, or the Steelers make it in. Didn't the Steelers make it last year? The Raiders find a way in, the impossible scenario here, Doesn't it feel like that always happens? You know what I'm saying? All right. Godfather, great to have you in the house, bro. Dominic, Cameron Dicker, Money Mac, or Ryan Suckup. I'd probably stick with Dicker, the kicker. He's got 2 really good matchups. If you play through Week 18, he probably don't. But he's got a good matchup this week in terms of the kicker position. I'd probably stick with him. C-Dub, what in the world do I do with Mark Andrews? Yeah, you're telling me, man. Should I play Komet over him? I probably would. Komet's got a far better matchup. Komet was this close to making the must-start list for the tight end position. You know, nothing at stake in this game for the Bears, but they've come out and said that Justin Fields will play in this game. He'll play to finish the season. You look at Mark Andrews, I'm just like, you know, I've been very wary of you guys starting him the last couple weeks, right? 7.5 fantasy points last week was his highest mark in his last 3 weeks. It's Pittsburgh this week. Lamar Jackson could return in week 17, but he probably won't. Because the Ravens have already made the playoffs, you know? And they can't make the #1 seed, right? Yeah. Oh my God, they technically can. I think they technically can. Wow. No. They can't. Because the Bengals will still have more wins than them no matter what. Even if the Bengals lose out. So no, they can't. They can't. So they have nothing to play for. I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to play the rest of the regular season. In my opinion. But you never know. He might want to get a little warmed up for the playoffs. But back to Komet. Komet's got the better matchup, more upside. His floor is pretty similar to Mark Andrews. I'd probably stick with Komet. Yeah, I was thinking about you, man. I saw Mike Williams catch 1 or 2 passes, and I was like, all right, let's go. After the review, got the dub. Godfather in the middle of cooking dinner right now. Salt and pepper pork with some green beans and jasmine rice. Sounds delicious, bro. Booger Dog in the house. What's up? Caleb, what's good, my guy? I will go B-Rob, Richie James, and I go Sutton. I think Sutton's just so safe. You know, good matchup. He's going to get you 11 or 12 points. You don't have to worry. Take the points and leave it. James is kind of the upside play. You could go Slayton over James for more of a floor play, but I'd probably go Richie James. Brings you some upside. Let me know what you think, Caleb. Packers need this game as much as the Vikings need to win. Yeah, it's going to be a good game. One of the better games of the weekend. Aaron, pick 2 and half PPR. Dylan, Akers, Algier. Wow. Love all these guys. I had all these running backs and the must-start running back video this week. By the way, if you guys are waiting on comments, I know Steve and I are way behind. We'll have comments answered within the next 24 hours. I promise. I usually clear my comments out at the end of the night, like after I'm done editing, after I'm done streaming. And Steven usually does his like in the morning. So I know we have a lot of comments out there at the moment. But wow. I love all these plays, Aaron. I seriously do. I mean, the Falcons not playing for anything. The Rams not playing for anything. A.J. Dillon, the most competitive game script here. Algier and Akers just have really good matchups, you know? Whew. Algiers looks so good, too. Algier gets the Cardinals. They don't have anything to play for either. What a gross game. Akers gets the Chargers. Bro, I mean, you literally can't go wrong here. I'd probably go A.J. Dillon just because the game script should be better. But you could also just go Akers and Algier because you could argue that the Packers game could turn kind of pass heavy. Dillon could get less involvement. It's tough. Plus you got Jones, but Jones is a little bit banged up right now. Trust your gut here, man. You literally cannot go wrong. These are all smash plays. You could even flex one of these guys and start 2 of them. I might go Dillon and Akers, but it's just so close, man. Chat, who would you guys go with? A.J. Dillon, Cam Akers, Tyler Algier, pick 2, half PPR. Smokey, what's good, bro? Made it to 3 out of 7 championship games. Very nice. Left Herbert on 1, and of course he did his thing again. I deserve not making that one for learning my lesson. Yeah, he's been a rough start, man. He's been a rough start. I've got to make it through my league that's playing through week 18, double quarterback league. He's my QB2. My QB1 is Jalen Hurts. I've got Minshew right now. Mike White's out there. I'm really close to picking up Mike White, but my issue is right now I still have Jalen Hurts on IR. He's changed to questionable, so I can't add anyone. Like right now I'm able to keep Hurts on IR if I don't add any players from waiver and keep Gardner Minshew. And I don't want to drop anyone. I have a lot of really good players. So but the temptation to go get Mike White is very real. I might make the move. I got time to decide. Got to do it before like 3 o'clock in the morning. After the review, no Packers and Lions. I want the easiest route as possible. Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, that's the right answer from a Vikings fan, right? Aaron, Eagles defense or Ravens? I'd probably go with the Ravens, but it's very close. I don't know. I might go with the Eagles. Very, very close here. Where do the Saints come in against opposing defenses? It's a question that I actually am curious about. Let's see here. Philly. Saints gave up the 6th most points to opposing defenses. On the other hand, Pittsburgh gives up the 12th. I'll go with the Eagles. Yeah, I like the Eagles this week. Of course, guys, if you have defensive questions, Steven's must-start defenses are out for the week. Go check them out. Go drop a like. Go drop him a comment. He'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll give you guys another perspective as well. He had the Eagles, Cowboys, and Niners. Is just like, if you own them, you start them. They're not in the video, but he mentioned that in the intro. And the Ravens are like the first team he talks about. So, but I'll go with the Eagles. Mel, what's good, bro? 13 leagues, 6 championship matchups, 2 already won. Let's go, bro. Great year for you, man. Good to see you, bro. Let's hear. Tony, need 2. Chark, Jones, Akers. I'd probably go with Chark and Akers. Jones doesn't have the best matchup this week. Gets the Texans. I mean, the Texans haven't allowed that many fancy points to opposing receivers, believe it or not. A lot of that is because opposing teams just run the football on them. But I go with Akers and Chark, but it's close. I definitely start Akers here. If you like Jones over Chark, I guess that's fine. But I think the Lions, it's a must-win game for them to keep their slim playoff chances alive. So I think I like DJ Chark this week. Mel, need 2 running backs plus a flex. Connor, Dobbins, Walker, Kamara, Pollard, Godwin, St. Brown. Wow. Can't really go wrong. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, there are plenty of good players here. I think you have to start Amon-Ra St. Brown in the flex, which pains me because I really do like Chris Godwin this. I mean, you can go Godwin or St. Brown, whoever you feel better about. J.C. Horn is hurt for the Panthers, so that secondary is going to be really hurting. I go Connor and I go Pollard. Just don't feel like you can bench Pollard, but you could go Walker over Pollard. Connor, Pollard, Walker, Dobbins, Kamara. I really don't have a lot of faith in Kamara right now. It's not Kamara, it's just the way he's being used, I mean, he had a good game last week and the week before. Don't get me wrong. We liked him in those last 2 games. It gets Philly this week. It's an away game. I just feel like it's a bad game script, but really tough calls. Maybe I put Kamara over Dobbins. Dobbins had a bad week last week. So. Let me know what you think, man. Dominic, Jags defense or Chiefs? I personally like the Jags more. I think they're a really solid stream. Davis made the playoffs in all 4 leagues in May. Terrible starts in every single one of them. Luckily, Eckler came through and I won by 2 points. Beat my girlfriend's team. Didn't feel great. She won last year. Hey, man. Gotta do what you gotta do. I'm glad Eckler pulled through for you. He was like a fantasy savior for a lot of you guys last night. Mel and a flex spot PPR. White, Terry, McLaurin, Gallup, or Sutton if Olave is out. I'd probably go Rachaad White. Rachaad White's just one of those players that's like, when he's mentioned, I'm like, yeah, just go Rachaad White. Like, super safe, since week 10, double digits in every game except against Cincinnati. Had a touchdown last week, 15 points. It's just like, I feel like he's just such a safe start on a weekly basis, But Terry McLaurin's an okay start here as well, of course. But of course, is Carson Wentz gonna... Like, why did they make the quarterback change? I just don't get it, man. You know? Like, I don't know. All I'm saying is Heineke having 166 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. I mean, I get he had a pick and a fumble, but, like, you're playing the best defense in the league. Like, what does that do for the confidence of your locker room going into potentially going in the playoffs, you know? I mean, man, I grew up a Washington fan. I grew up in the area. And I hope they lose out, and I hope they don't make the playoffs. I can't stand this organization. I really can't. McLaurin has better chemistry with Heineke getting back to the point, so keep an eye on that. But McLaurin's always fine, I guess. McLaurin or White for me. Darren Waller, Tyler Conklin. I'd probably go Waller. You know, Conklin, like, feels like a really good start. You know, and he's got a great matchup. That's probably the most enticing thing here is he gets Seattle. And he feels like a great start, but since week 9 of the season, he's had 8 or less fantasy points in all his matchups. So, you know, really, like, we were expecting nice chemistry with him and Mike White. It's not that there's bad chemistry, but there hasn't been a ton of upside there. So, he's fine just due to the matchup, right? And due to the fact that the Jets are still technically in the playoff hunt. So, Waller, 9.8 or more fantasy points in his last 2 games, 58 receiving yards or a touchdown in his last 2 games. But he gets the Niners, and, like, it's a pass-heavy game script, I would imagine, for the Raiders. But I don't know, man. The Niners have played pretty well against opposing tight ends on the season, so I might actually pivot here and go Higbee just due to match. Or excuse me, go Conklin just due to matchup. But it's close. Who do you like more, Tony? Eric, I made it to the champ versus my brother in our work league. Big money on the line. Let's go, bro. Ricky, Jacobs, Pollard, Sanders, Jones, pick 2. Oh, man. I'm worried about Jacobs this week. Jacobs is a player I'm wary of this week. I like Pollard and Jones the most. If Jones isn't healthy, I'd probably go Pollard. And I don't really love Miles Sanders right now against the Saints. Hasn't looked good the last 2 weeks. I feel like especially if Minshew's quarterback, they're going to be throwing more. So I'd probably go Pollard and Jones. If Jones isn't good to go, Pollard and Jacobs. But I am worried about Jacobs this week against the Niners. Eric, I got Fields. He's got Allen. Yeah, I like Fields this week. He gets the Lions, so. But Allen is Josh Allen. Ricky, Eagles, Chargers, or Broncos? Eagles for a floor. Chargers for a little bit more risk. Well, wait. No, I'm thinking of last week. I'm sorry. The Chargers played the Rams. And I don't really like the Broncos this week. I'm not going the Broncos against the Chiefs. No way. And after last week, I don't trust the Broncos defense at all. I go with the Eagles here. I don't trust the Chargers against the Rams. Rams are that team here at the end of the season. They're going to try and beat you. Like, they got some pride. They don't want you to go to the playoffs. Sean McVay is like, I'm supposed to be there. Let's see. Judy or Devonta Smith? Devonta Smith. I mean, I love both of these guys this week. They're both in the must-start video. I love both of them. I'm not benching Devonta Smith, though. That was, like, my main point. Like, actually, Judy has a better matchup, but, like, when it comes to Devonta Smith, I'm like, I don't care. I'm starting him. But Judy does have a really good matchup. I really seriously love both of these guys, Ricky. Davis, I'm picking up Akers just so my opponent can't grab him. Also going to get Algier if he doesn't pick him up because I have a feeling he will only put in a waiver for Akers. Yep. Go get him. 2 running backs worth having right now. Thomas, just saying what's up, what's good, bro. Season ended last week, 10-team league, finished 3rd, grabbed Taysom Hill 15 minutes before kickoff and took out Njoku. Then points got me the dub. Let's go, bro. We appreciate you being part of the community, and we've enjoyed having you here, bro. I'm glad you've enjoyed the streams this year. We appreciate you, man. Booger Dog, never underestimate the Minshew. That's right. They have 28 fantasy points. Is dropping Watson for Purdy a good idea? My other quarterback is Carr. Yes. Yeah, I'm good at that, bro. I'm good at that. I mean, Purdy gets Vegas and Arizona, and they're fighting for playoff seeding. So, yeah. I mean, they're 11-4, especially if the Vikings lose this week and or the Eagles lose this week, especially if both those teams were to lose this week. Because then the Niners are in a spot where they can get that #1 seed. So, but yeah, for sure. I don't have any faith in Watson right now, so for sure. I haven't really had faith in Watson at all. Like, wasn't very high in the offseason. Wasn't high on him as a start coming back. So, MVP Sports, Stephon Diggs or Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is a tough call because Diggs has been playing very, very, very poorly as of late from a fantasy perspective. He's still your wide receiver 3 in fantasy, though. He gets Cincinnati. It's not the best matchup. This is going to be a competitive game, though. This is a type of game script where a player like Stephon Diggs balls out. Once again, looking at playoff seeding here. The Bills are 12-3. The Bengals are 11-4. This is an important game for the Ravens because if the Ravens win this week and the Bengals lose, Ravens can take the AFC North, depending on what happens the following week. But at the end of the day, it's very important for the Bills. It's very important for the Bengals. Chiefs too, who are 12-3. This is going to be a good game script from a fantasy perspective. So, as much as I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's on the Lions, a team fighting for their playoff hopes against a bad Bears defense, I might just stick with Diggs. It's very close, though. Chat, who would you guys start here? Stephon Diggs or Amon-Ra St. Brown? Diggs gets the Bengals. Amon-Ra gets the Bears. Andrea, what's going on? Hello, hello. Ghost Hunters in the house. Hello. Hello, hello. How you guys doing? Mel, Kansas City or Tampa? Both in the must-start video this week. Both are good starts. I'll go Kansas City, though. Very close. Davis, love my running backs. Eckler, Jacobs, and Mixon. Jacobs is playing San Francisco, and judging by how he did last week, I don't think I can start him. I'm actually considering Akers or Algier over Jacobs. I think you should start either of them over Jacobs this week. This is the only week where I think I've been like, yeah. Probably the only week where anyone's been like, you probably said Jacobs. But I don't know. He's had some weeks where it's been pretty close when we look at matchups as of late. Pittsburgh and New England in the last 2 weeks. But he played pretty well against New England, you know. So, I mean, obviously he's just had a great season. So, a really tough player to bench. But I do think this is the 1 week where you consider. Yeah, I'll drop the link for those of you guys looking for Steven's must-start defenses. I'll drop that link for you guys here too. Let's see. Oh crap, I just lost my spot in the chat. I was trying to get too fancy. Okay, I should be good though. I'm going to pin this. Alright. Oh my gosh. Alright, for anyone looking for Steven's must-start defenses, it's pinned. Okay. Let me see. Okay. I'm good to go. Should I drop Rachaad White or Dobbins for Akers for my RB2 and PPR? If you're going to drop one of the two, I would drop Dobbins, Andrea. I'd probably rather have Akers over Dobbins right now, but I keep Rachaad White. Bugger Dog, I drafted Kamara with my second pick, held him until Saints bye week and waived him standard league. The next game, Kamara put up 18 points. Yeah, he's been frustrating, man. I don't know why Wentz hates McLaurin. Trust Pollard and Tua, or should I start Najee or get Zay Jones or Algier? I trust Pollard. I do. I'm sticking by that. I know he's been tough as of late. I know he's questionable too. But like I just don't bench a player like Tony Pollard. As long as he plays this week. I know he's got a tough matchup though. I guess that's one. I mean, it's a short week. He didn't practice today. We got to keep a close eye, I feel, on Pollard. So just keep an eye going into Thursday. It is a short week. I think this is a game where the Cowboys throw the football a little bit more, so it'll be easier to answer maybe tomorrow going into Thursday, but you might want to consider Algier here. And Waddle, not two. Okay, my bad. I think Waddle's okay. I'd rather start Waddle this week than Zay Jones. I'd take the floor play in Waddle. Klondike, I'm still starting Jacobs. I think that's okay. You know, like I don't love Jacobs this week. I really don't. I'm worried about him. But if you still want to start him, I'm not going to talk you out of it. Like, he got you to this point, right? So, Caleb, should I play Andrews or Everett? I would play Everett. Is anyone else out on Mark Andrews? I think I am. Cowboys, Chargers, or Chiefs? I would play the Cowboys. Especially because Derrick Henry might not play. Mel, may need to fill a tight end spot. Hurst, Fant, Bellinger, Woods, Akins, Jawan Johnson. Hurst or Fant, definitely. Fant's got a good matchup. Jawan Johnson, I just don't know if we can trust. I want to. And then last week, like, what the heck happened, man? He gets the Eagles this week. It's not a great matchup. So, yeah, but a good matchup. I mean, the Jets haven't played very well against tight ends. And then Hurst was productive until he was hurt. So, but I might take a chance on Fant. It's just so tough. Like, looking at a group of tight ends like this, like, any of these guys can outscore each other, you know. Caleb, if Andrews, should I play Everett over B-Rob, Sutton, or James? No. No. I would not flex a tight end over any of those guys, Caleb. What's good, Albert? Davis, I'm a little worried about Fields. He hurt his foot last game. That's why he had 11 rushing yards. They could limit his rushing plays. That's a good point. I just trust him. I don't know why. It's just one of those things, right? Sometimes you just have that, like, I'm playing this guy no matter what. That's how I feel about Fields this week. But if you guys don't, I won't talk you out of it. But foot injury is something to pay attention to for sure. Adrian, what's good, man? Garrett Wilson or Amari Cooper? Yeah, Mike White should be back. I would say keep in mind, like, as much as I've really liked Garrett Wilson this season, we got to pay attention here because the Seahawks have a great. They've been very good against opposing wide receiver ones. So, 5 points for him last week in a really, really gross game, but. Other than that, the previous 4 games, 13 or more fantasy points. The previous 7 games, 13 or more fantasy points in every game except Week 11 against New England. So it's a tough read here, even with Mike White back. But I probably like him more than Cooper. Cooper finally, his first double-digit performance since Watson has come back. He gets Washington. Middle of the pack team against opposing receivers. Browns have nothing to play for. I'd probably start Garrett Wilson. What do you think, Adrian? Cold Thermal. Debo could play this week. Do I snag him? I do think Debo, if he's out there, is worth picking up. Yeah. Yeah. If Debo's out there, pick him up. Why not? I mean, he's got a pretty favorable strength of schedule to finish the season. So he gets the Raiders and then he gets the Cardinals. But the thing I would keep in mind is, like, there's a very realistic possibility, even if Debo's good to go, he doesn't play a lot the next 2 weeks. Because the Niners have clinched the playoffs. Obviously, they're fighting for the best possible seeding. But I don't know. I don't know that they want to risk a player like Debo's health going into the playoffs like that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think he's worth picking up. Tresh Schultz or start Ingram? I like both. They're both in the must-start video, but I'd probably lean Ingram. Both are really good starts, Stober. Smokey, need 3.5 PPR. Barkley, Connor, Walker, Najee, Pacheco, Godwin. Wow. I'd probably lean to the running back position, half PPR. I'd probably go Barkley, Connor, and Walker. Yeah, definitely difficult to expect anything from Andrews. Roger, Akers, McLaurin, or White for flex, PPR, Fearmouth, or Higbee. Wow, that's close. That's close. I'd probably stick with Rashad White, but it's so close. Akers been playing so good. I don't know. I might go Akers. I like Akers this week against the Chargers. Worry about McLaurin if Wentz is at quarterback. I don't worry that much, but I just think with two players that I like a lot, in White and Akers, I might go them over McLaurin. I definitely go Fearmouth at tight end. Listen, I like Higbee a lot. He's in the must-start video. But I consider Fearmouth one of those players that if you own him, you just start. But both are really good options, Roger. What do you think, man? Would you start Christian Watson or Judy in the flex? Also, would you start Walker over Henry as a safer play, scared of the Cowboys matchup? Yeah. Well, with Henry, like, he might not play because he's a little bit banged up, and the Titans don't need to win this game to make the playoffs. They just have to beat the Jaguars next week. So if he doesn't play, or I guess if he does play, I think he could be limited. And it's a bad matchup. But it's really hard to bench a player like Derrick Henry in what is probably your fantasy championship. But it's a short week. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can say bench Derrick Henry. Guys, if you own Derrick Henry and he starts this week, are you starting him or are you benching him? Watson versus Judy. Let's get back to that, though. I love both these players, both in the must-start video. Man, you guys got some good rosters out there. A lot of players in the must-start videos this week. So, I love both. Watson's banged up, too. So, easy answer is if Watson doesn't play, you can go with Judy. But ultimately, I go Watson if he's healthy. The Vikings' secondary is garbage. The Packers are in a must-win situation. Like the Broncos receivers against the Chiefs, but they don't have anything to play for at the end of the day, you know, except for a little bit of pride as their head coach just got fired and they've got an interim head coach in there. So I go Watson if he's healthy. If not, Judy. Walker's okay, but you want to start Derrick Henry, right? I mean, Walker still gets the Jets. I don't know. Diggs will ball out this week. I sat him in all leagues last week because of weather. I think Diggs will bounce back too. Mitchie's recent game, he was threading eyes and needles, reading defenses, getting the ball out quickly. Absolutely impressive. Yeah. Mitchie's the man. And, you know, there's definitely an argument for, like, teams that feel like they're in a championship potential position going out and getting a quarterback, too, that they believe in, you know. I think that's something that the Eagles did. Start Robinson over Kamara if Gibson is out. Yeah, I like Robinson a lot this week. It's a great matchup for him. I think he'll bounce back. A tough week against the Niners last week. The Browns have been awful against the run. The Commanders in the playoff hunt. On the, you know, very outside looking in, right? Right now they're the 7th seed. If Gibson's out, B-Rob holds a lot of value here. So, but it's just tough because Kamara has had a good 2 weeks. And I don't know. The Saints have something to play for here against the Eagles. They're on the outside looking in too. So what are they? Well, they're the 12th seed. You know, they need the Bucs to lose, but they're still fighting. So it's a tough call over Kamara, but I definitely consider it with how bad the Browns have played against the run. Yeah, I mean, Dillon or Walker, if Henry's out, are completely fine. What's good, Rich? In the bowl game, do we play Dobbs of Watson and Lockett or not a go, or do we roll the dice and play Dotson or Hodgins? If Watson does not play and you can't play Lockett, I think Dobbs is okay, just due to the matchup. But just keep in mind, it's still a little bit of a gamble. He hasn't seen a really high ceiling game in quite a few weeks. If you're going to roll the dice with anyone here, quote unquote, it's Dotson against the Browns. MVP, thank you so much. I didn't know about Diggs since he dropped 4 points last week, and Amon-Ra plays the Bears. I'll definitely start Diggs. It's just a really, really close call. It's a really close call between the two. Both are phenomenal plays. I mean, Diggs is your wide receiver 3 on the season. St. Brown is your wide receiver 7. It's just so close. But I really do think you look at the game script here. You look at the Bills. You look at the Bengals. It's going to be a competitive game. These are the type of games that you want to start a player like Stephon Diggs in. If Henry sits Akers or Algier, I'll go Akers, but it's super close, Albert. Both are great plays. It's Zacchaeus time. What's up, Tox? Is Drake London hurt? No. Did Zacchaeus have a big game? No. What? Are you just starting him? What's up, Tox? Caleb, pick 2. Jacobs, Jones, Latavius Murray, B-Rob. B-Rob and Jones for me. B-Rob and Jones for me. If Jones isn't good, you just stick with Jacobs here. But, guys, Jacobs against the Niners. We want to be very, very wary here. Kyle, what's good, bro? Good to see you. Lockett, Godwin, Deontay, pick 2. Okay, let's start with that. Godwin for sure. And Lockett if he's good to go. If he's not, Godwin and Deontay. Wait, I just want to make sure I'm reading this right. All right, Kittle, Waller, Ingram, pick 1. Man, Kittle's got a tough matchup, but you just can't bench Kittle. I mean, look at what he's done the last 2 weeks. I mean, the Commanders have played well against tight ends. You just don't bench Kittle. But if you do want to bench Kittle, you go Ingram. Pollard, Knight, Monty, pick 2. Pollard for sure. You got to start Pollard. Maybe Knight. Maybe Knight. It's so tough because the Lions were awful against the run last week after being really good for 5 straight weeks. Fields a little bit banged up, might not run the ball as much. Could see a game plan where Monty's more involved. Knight holds a little bit more upside, but a little bit more risk. I'd probably go Pollard and Monty, but it's very close between Knight and Monty. Love you, bro. Of course, man. Of course. I'm glad to see 2 Super Bowls out of my leagues. Let's go, bro. I made it to 1 out of 2. Let's go. Let's go. We're going to get you that championship. Let's do it. Derek, I'm starting Komet over Andrews. I don't blame you, man. A.J. Brown or Watson if he plays. You start A.J. Brown no matter what. I mean, it's a beautiful matchup. I agree for Watson against Minnesota. I mean, if you can start both, that's the best case scenario. But you don't bench A.J. Brown. You just can't. There's just some players you just can't bench. Yeah. So. Algier, McKinnon. I'd probably stick with McKinnon. I like Algier a lot. I'd probably stick with McKinnon. So. Mel, I shared your channel with my league and my opponent last week heard the advice you gave me. He went to block me on waivers and should have won, but Herbert dumped out on him. Yikes. That's crazy. Well, thanks for sharing the channel, bro. I appreciate it. Yeah, always risky, right? Albert, Amon-Ra or T. Higgins? I'll go Amon-Ra, but super close. Both are great plays, Albert. Who do you like more? Thomas, think I finally convinced my league to go from 10 to 12 teams next year. Never done a 12 team before. I'm sure it's harder, but finally get to use what little knowledge I have. Yeah, I think 12 team is the best overall. I don't know what words I'm looking for. I just think 12 teams is the best, medium ground. 10 teams, still competitive, still a lot of fun, but not as difficult. 14 teams, more competitive. I still think 14 teams are a lot of fun. A little bit more difficult. 12 teams, difficult, competitive, fun. Sorry, I just punched my mic. Kind of all in the middle. Anything can happen in 12. I think 12 team is just the perfect spot for fantasy. But I like 10 teamers. And I like 14 teamers. Just don't go past 14. It gets really dicey there. I've done 20 teamers before. It's tough, man. It's tough. But I think 12 teams is good, man. You'll be all right. Dak or Goff, Titans have been good as of late. I think Dak's... I actually have Dak and Goff in the must-start video. I like both a lot. I might go Dak, though. I mean, technically, it is the better matchup. I'm not worried about the Titans, man. But if you don't like it, then trust your gut. Go with Goff. He's got a really good matchup. The Bears, I mean, literally, the Titans are allowing like the 6th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, and the Bears are allowing like the 9th. So both are really good matchups. Both these teams have something to play for this week. So yeah, I think both are good starts for you, bro. Kicker rankings this week. Steven will have his must-start kickers out by tomorrow, so just stay posted. It should be out tomorrow night. So his videos were delayed a day this week just due to the holiday and everything. So I don't have kicker rankings off the top of my head. Obviously, guys like Justin Tucker and Daniel Carlson are in your starting lineups. Tyler Bass, of course. But I don't know who Steven's thinking of this week. I don't. Who the... A really sneaky play is Mason Crosby against the Vikings. The Vikings have been awful against opposing kickers. I was trying to flip through. And Crosby had like double digits last week. Graham Gano, of course, another guy you always want to start. Brett Meyer, of course. But yeah, we'll have must-start kickers out for you guys tomorrow. So I know sometimes you guys want to get a jump on the waiver wire and everything, but I literally I woke up Monday and I was like getting ready for the gym, and I was like, oh my god, it's Monday. I haven't done the I put out the waiver wire video every Sunday night, but Sunday was Christmas. I just didn't think about it at all. And even if I had thought about it, I probably wouldn't have done it because it was Christmas. I didn't want to do anything for the channel on Christmas. So I don't know, this whole week's been a little bit off. But yeah. Do you trust Freiermuth over Ingram? I love Pat Freiermuth. I trust him to the end of the world. He gave us a goose egg like 2 weeks ago. And I told you guys to start him this past week, and he showed up. You know? It's very close. Both are great starts. I mean, Ingram's in that territory now. There aren't very many tight ends that we can just be like, yeah, I trust this guy, right? Travis Kelce, Kittle, Schultz, Hawkinson, Freiermuth, and Ingram. Probably the only guys, right? I don't trust Mark Andrews. I don't trust Waller. I'm hoping we can trust Goddard again. He was definitely in that conversation for a while. Komet's fallen out. Higbee's probably a tight end I trust here at the end of the season. Everett's been really back and forth. Probably not. 0 points last week. So, yeah, I think Ingram's right in that conversation. I think if you like Ingram more, you own both. Ingram is fine. McNasty, Dillon or Drake London. If Watson doesn't play, I go Dillon. I'll go Dillon. Good matchup against the Cardinals, but for London, but I go Dillon for sure. I like him a lot this week. Dr. Dick Gibbons. What a username. Schultz or Waller? I lean Schultz. Good matchup for him against the Titans. They've been awful against tight ends. Waller's okay. Don't get me wrong, but I go Schultz. Kansas City or Jacksonville? I personally like Jacksonville more. Pacheco or Algier? And non-PPR. I go Algier because Pacheco, as of late, hasn't scored that many touchdowns, right? So in standard, I probably take the chance with Algier. I mean, Pacheco hasn't scored a touchdown since week 13 against Denver. So in standard, he had 9.3 points against them in week 14. We look at Tyler Algier. 11 points last week in standard, 21 in week 15. So at least 100 yards from scrimmage or a touchdown in his last 2 games. Probably go Algier against Arizona here. They just got torched on the ground by Fournette and White. So I go Schultz, Jacksonville, Algier. What do you think, man? Pacheco or McKinnon? Probably McKinnon. I mean, Pacheco's the floor play. McKinnon's the upside play. A little bit more risk with McKinnon, but that's okay. I'd probably go McKinnon. Smokey, I know we've already started, but can't wait for mock season. I know. I've been looking in the mock draft streams. Like retrospective views have done really well. I mean, the one we did last Friday is at like 800 views. The one we did the previous Friday is at like 520 views, which is I mean, our live streams are usually like between 150 to 300 views. Sometimes a little. I mean, it just depends. We've had views that, I don't know. It depends. But somewhere in that range. We've had some that have done better than that, of course. But the first Sunday of the season, our very first fantasy Q&A, that live stream was wild. It had like 1,000 views. It had 87 likes, and we gained 100 subscribers. I was like, holy crap, this season's going to be amazing. And then we like never came close to that again, but that's okay. Anyways, yeah, the mock draft stream's been doing really well for anyone that cares. I'm excited to keep doing them. And you guys know we do it all off season long. Keeps the fantasy conversation going. So, we literally talk fantasy football every week of this off season. So I'm excited. I'll probably take a little like week or 2 week break when the regular season ends. But you guys know me. I just literally can't. Like I can't not make content for the channel, and I can't not stream. I just literally, like, it drives me crazy. Baby Rock made to the championship. Let's go, baby. Love to see you, bro. Cold Thermal, Zeke, Dobbins, Monty, Travis, pick 3. I'm fine with ETN against the Texans. You stick with Zeke in a competitive matchup. Dobbins versus Monty's tough. Dobbins really let us down last week. I'd probably go Monty. Zeke and Travis Etienne for sure. Dobbins versus Monty is tough, though. Who do you like more? Diggs or Connor? Wow. That's super tough, man, because I love Connor this week. I think he's a must-start player, but you just don't bench a player like Diggs, Even in a tough stretch, it's such a tough call. Chat, would you guys start Stephon Diggs versus the Bengals or James Conner versus the Falcons? Like with Conner, it's like, I said it all last week, I'm like, it just doesn't matter who he plays. He gets you double digits, And I was like slightly worried about him against Tampa Bay. He had his best game of the whole season. It's like, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Doesn't matter what the matchup is. Conner's been a beast. I saw like someone saying like he was, drafted way too high coming into the season. He's your running back 16 on the year. And he had a tough beginning of the season, right? After week 1 where he had 15.5 points, he had 10 or less fantasy points with the bottom of 7.1 for the next 4 weeks. Then he missed 3 games. But since he came back from injury, he's had 11 or more fantasy points in every matchup. And he's had 18 or more fantasy points in 5 of those 7 matchups. So, like, I think Connor's been where he got drafted, actually quite productive player. So, and he kind of like knew if he drafted Connor, he's probably going to miss a little bit of time. That's what Connor does, right? I think it was fair to look at him and say he's probably going to regress from RB5 last season. He's not going to have 18 touchdowns, but he's got 8 touchdowns on the season. And he's on pace for 1,000 yards from scrimmage between rushing and receiving. So really the only difference when you look at last season compared to this season, for the most part, is the touchdown. So I don't know. Shout out to my boy James Conner. I loved you all off season. Derek, I'm in the championship. Projections are super tight. I'm favored by less than 2 points. Try not to get too caught up in projections, of course. Just set the best possible lineup with your highest conviction. That's all you can do. But yeah, we'll have my star kickers out for you tomorrow, bro. Akers or Williams? Depends on which Williams we're talking here. I'm going to assume Mike Williams. I'd probably stick with Mike Williams. I mean, I love Akers this week. But I don't know. There are just some players, you just don't want to overthink it in the fantasy championship. Like Mike Williams, a guy who, if this was week 10 and you were looking at things, especially in a PPR league, you'd probably be like, well, I'm just going to start Mike Williams because the ceiling's super high. You know, Cam Akers coming off of a career game, a great matchup. He's the RB4 over the past 4 weeks of fantasy football. He's played great. Don't get me wrong. I like him a lot. It's a very close call. Chat, who would you guys start? Cam Akers or Mike Williams? Andrew, Devonta Smith or DJ Moore? Have Olave on the bench. I go Devonta Smith. I like both these players a lot this week, Andrea. But I'll go Devonta Smith. Luis, what's going on? How's it going? Cold Thermal, Amon-Ra, Pickens, DPJ Slayton, or Debo. Amon-Ra and Pickens for me. I think Pickens is going to have a good week. He struggled last time he played the Ravens. But it should be a game script where Pickett and company are throwing the football, playing from behind. So I go Pickens and Sun God. What do you think? Keep an eye on Debo, though, I guess. Can I start Jacobs against the Niners? Championship weekend, I'm in the league. In the league I'm in. You know, we've talked about Josh Jacobs a lot, and it's like, if you want to start Jacobs, I'm not going to argue against it. But you just have to be very wary and lower your expectations. Like, Jacobs probably a player that you play no matter what. Coming off of a bad game. Lower ceiling in the last 2 weeks. Has had a phenomenal season. It's just really tough to bench him, but this is not a good matchup. Not a good matchup. The Raiders are technically on the bubble for the playoffs, but they need a lot to happen. So let's look at some of the tough matchups for Jacobs in the past couple of weeks. Or really just on the season. Let's just do that. Tennessee, week 3, 13 points. 34 points against Denver in week 4. They've been back and forth in terms of their defense against the run. 7.4 points against the Saints in week 8. 19 points against Denver in week 11. He hasn't had a very tough schedule if you look at run defenses. 19 points against the Rams in week 14, but really like the first half of the season, the Rams run defense was good. Aaron Donald hasn't been in there. The Rams defense has been very bad against the run. I don't know if I really count that, but I guess it's worth noting. 13 points against New England in week 15, 6 points against Pittsburgh. So like, when you look at a lot of the really big performances, I'm not discrediting his season in any way, right? Let's just look at since the emergence, since week 3. You know, 30 points against the Chiefs. They haven't been good against the run. 36.5 against Houston, the worst team in the league against the run. 11.7 against Jacksonville. They've been back and forth. 22 against Indy in week 10. They've been pretty back and forth. 48 points against Seattle. They've been awful against the run. 21 against the Chargers. They've been bad against the run. So it's like, it's a tough read when we go into this week 17 matchup against the Niners. Like, he's had some good games against good run defenses. But he's also had some bad games when we look at Pittsburgh, New Orleans. I'm not going to count the first 2 weeks. He's had decent games when we look at Tennessee, I guess Jacksonville. If you want to count those Denver games or the Rams game. And then the New England game in week 15, you know. But it's a tough call because at the end of the day, none of these defenses are what the Niners are. You know, the Niners are going to force you to throw the football. And their secondary is not great. Their secondary gives up a lot of points in the second half of games, but or from a fantasy perspective, that is. But he's your RB3 on the season. It's just so tough when you look at a player like that to bench him. I think you can start him, but you have to temper your expectations. Like, could I see Josh Jacobs having 12 points in this game, 14 points? Sure. Do I see him having 25 plus points? No. Unless, like, the Raiders, like, your best bet is that the Raiders get to the goal line several times in this game. They get in the red zone, and somehow Josh Jacobs gets it done at that point, you know. Outside of that, he's probably going to get some receiving work in this game. It's just tough. It's tough. Guys, if you own Josh Jacobs, are you starting him this week? Or are you benching him? Really tough to bench a player like that. You know, I generally, going into the playoffs, like if you have a top 5 player at any position, I usually don't bench them. You know, they're top 5 for a reason. But I am really worried about Jacobs this week. I probably won't say for sure to bench Jacobs this week. I just don't feel like I could put my reputation on whatever reputation I have on the line, being like, yes, for sure, bench. Like, there are content creators out there who'd be like, yes, you must bench Josh Jacobs this weekend or you will lose. I wouldn't, like, I'd never do that. I'm like, well, I could see this going either way, and here's why. You take that information and you trust your gut. That's what I do, you know? All right, let's see here. We'll talk more about Jacobs soon. Alex, for PPR League, I have Ingram and Goddard. Should I start both? I also have Pollard. I would start Ingram and Pollard. Miles Sanders or Godwin? Godwin. Fields versus Burrow. I stick with Burrow in a competitive game script Blaine, as much as I like Fields. Once again, Burrow, just a player I don't bench, man. We got you, Dr. Dick. What do you think about Pollard versus Kamara? I'd play Pollard, but it's close. Thomas, is flex better being used by a running back rather than a receiver? Depends on the scoring format. I'd roll Connor over Diggs. Diggs hasn't been good the last month. Yeah. Of course, depends on the scoring format, but like in half PPR standard, you want to flex a running back. In full PPR, generally, you want to flex a receiver. Baby Rock. Oh, Jamal Williams. Oh, I definitely, not even close. I go Cam Akers there. Cam Akers for sure. Not even close. All right. We got a super chat. If I can get everything. Roger at the super chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You know what that means? Emojis in the chat for Roger. Appreciate the $5 dono, my guy. Of course, if you guys ever want your fantasy questions answered right away, you can send a super chat, but no obligation. I always get through the chat. It takes me some time. Anyways, Roger, any adjustments? Lawrence, Waddle, St. Brown, Eckler, Zeke, Akers, Fairmouth, Myers. Baltimore defense. We got Minshew Mania, McLaurin, Rashad White, Kelly, Taysom, Hill. I like your lineup. I like this team. The one player I'm worried about is Jacoby Myers. Good day last week against the Bengals. Really started the season very solid outside of the 2 games he missed, you know. Leading up to week 8, like he was a player like PPR every week. I was like, yeah, sure, play him. Then he kind of came back to earth, and then a really good game last week. So I don't know if I trust Myers, but this is a competitive game. You know, the Dolphins are in right now, 7th seed. The Pats are the 8th seed, right on the bubble. Competitive game coming up. With that being said, I probably play Rashad White or even consider McLaurin. If it was me, I probably have Rashad White in over Myers. That's probably what I would roll with. But I think Myers is okay. Oh, Jason Myers. Okay. My bad. I see it now. Still Jay Myers. I was just thinking Jacoby Myers. Okay. Then no. I keep your lineup how it is. Yep. It's close. Excuse me. I mean, I still think McLaurin and Rashad White are capable of having good weeks. But I keep this lineup how it is. I think it's the best possible lineup. Yep. T-Law, Waddle, St. Brown, Eckler, Zeke, Akers, and Fairmouth, Myers, Baltimore's defense. Yep. Keep it how it is, man. Any adjustments you're thinking of, Roger, let me know. But yeah, I like this lineup at the end of the day, my guy. Appreciate the donut. Appreciate the super chat, Roger. You're the man. All right, let's see. Box, I have... What a great username. I have Jones plus Dillon. Who's the guy? Also, I have Deontay, Mike Williams, and Watson. Don't know what to do for my wide receiver 2, RB2, and flex because Tyreek is a lock for me. Jones and Dillon are both the guy right now. You know, the Packers like to run the football, and they're utilizing both these guys. Finally, it only took like more than half the season. Jones is questionable right now, so keep that in mind. Monitor his status. They're both good plays. I like A.J. Dillon a lot this week. 12 or more fantasy points in his last 4 matchups. I wish we got more production out of him earlier on the season. He's your RB26 so far on the year. Jones is your RB10. You know, I like both. You can play both. There's nothing wrong with that. But keep an eye on Jones's health. This is how I would, I'm assuming you have another running back in. I will go Dillon at RB2. But if you go Jones, it's okay. And I go Mike Williams, and then I go Christian Watson. But keep an eye on Jones's health and Watson's health. And then obviously play Tyreek. We got you, Luis. Edgar, don't know if you answered this. Goff, Lawrence, or Minshew. I don't know if I saw that one. I'd probably stick with Trevor Lawrence. But Jared Goff's completely fine. I think Goff is a really good play this week as well. So, like, if you're worried about the Jaguars not being as competitive this week against the Texans, the Lions have everything to play for. They have to win this game to have a chance to make the playoffs. So, it's a good matchup against the Bears. So, I think Goff is okay. Goddard or Dawson Knox. This is the type of game script where Dawson Knox shows up, and he has been playing pretty well as of late. 3 touchdowns in his last 3 games. I might consider Dawson Knox here. I feel like Goddard is still kind of... the issue with Goddard is I think he either has a game like last week where he has like 8 or 9 points, or he has a big game. I might take the chance on Dawson Knox here. Chat, who would you guys start? Dallas Goedert or Dawson Knox? It's a close one. Yeah, Edgar, if Jalen Hurts is good to go, you're rolling with Hurts for sure. Zay Knight or Swift? Tony, it's tough. Swift has been gross, man. Last 4 weeks, 21.6 points, 12 points, 3 points. He gets the Bears, a good matchup. But Knight has a good matchup too. And he gets Mike White back. Tony, trust your gut. Who do you like more? Zonovan Knight versus Swift. Who do you guys think, chat? I might go Swift. It's close. Luis, appreciate your information and experience, of course, bro. Also have Zeke and Fournette. Also have Sun God, Diggs, and Lamb. Which are my 3 wide receivers? Wow. Oh, which are my 3 receivers I'm starting? I thought I was going to have to pick out of these guys. Yeah. Lineup looks good to me, bro. Lineup looks good to me, man. If you have a lineup like that, you can consider Jacobs for sure. Wendy Cush, what's up, man? Made it to the chip. Appreciate the help, of course. We got Josh Allen, Cook, Pollard, Higgins, Waddle, Waller, Pacheco. Cowboys defense, San Francisco defense. Wow. Lazard, DPJ, Everett, Goddard. I probably don't change anything here. You could argue Goddard versus Waller, but when you have tight ends, at this point in the season, some of these tight ends, man, it's just such a tough call on a weekly basis. I probably don't change anything. You can drive yourself crazy and go Waller versus Goddard. They have a really similar floor and ceiling, I think, going into the week. I probably do go with Dallas's defense over San Francisco, but it's really close. That's another situation I could see the Niners outscoring Dallas and vice versa. It's very, very close. I could probably keep everything else the same, though. And I'd probably still go Dallas over San Fran, but like that's another way you can drive yourself crazy for the whole week. You know what I'm saying? I guess the one argument is maybe Thursday Night Football, the defense might let up a little bit, but like I think they'll be just fine with Malik Willis at quarterback, especially if Henry's not out there, you're starting Dallas's defense. Andrew, have a good night. Thank you for hanging out. Roger, thanks again for getting me to this point. Of course, I'm glad we've been able to help you this year, my guy. Winnie Cush, you also got DJ Moore. That's close. You could consider DJ Moore over Waddle because of Teddy B starting, but like, or you could consider DJ Moore over Pacheco for a little bit of a higher ceiling. I might think about that. You know, I mean, I'm all for some Pacheco, but his ceiling's not crazy high. You could consider DJ Moore in there if you like it. Alex, between these three running backs, who are the main two? Kamara, Robinson, or White? Ooh, it's so tough. I like Brian Robinson against Cleveland for sure. And I like Rachaad White. I mean, I don't know why. Like, we talked about this like in the past hour. I just like Rachaad White. Like, you know. Anytime I see Rachaad White, I'm like, yeah, start that guy. But Kamara has looked good the last 2 weeks. You know, finally in some good matchups, even though he's been losing some touches and everything. He gets Philly. Saints have to win this game and see some divisional opponents lose. Not the best matchup. Is it crazy to go B-Rob and White? I feel like we could end up regretting benching Kamara, and we've kind of been leaning towards that during the stream today. I hate, like, some of these calls just get so close. I get, like, so freaking nervous for you guys, you know? Who are you leaning towards, Alex? We'll continue to chew on it here. Smokey, which teams have to win this week to make the playoffs? Oh, gosh. The playoff picture right now is a mess. You've only got 8 teams eliminated. I mean, think about that. We're in week 17 of the season. There's 2 more games left for each team. And we have 24 teams in the playoff hunt total. You know, obviously, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams who have clinched a spot between the NFC and AFC. But, all right, to keep playoff hopes and dreams alive, some of these teams need other teams to lose. But ultimately, these are the teams that need to win. Raiders, Steelers, Jets, Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the Jets, Patriots, they don't have to win. No, wait, they do. They have to win. Because even if the Dolphins lose, if the Patriots or Jets lose, they'd have one more loss. Because right now the Patriots and Jets are 7-8. The Dolphins are 8-7. So I'm going to say they have to win. Don't quote me on any of this, though. Saints, Panthers have to win. They need the Bucs to lose. The Saints and Panthers are 6-9. The Bucs are 7-8. But the Panthers have to get that 7th win, as well as the Saints. Packers, Lions are 7-8. They have to win. They're looking for they're not competing with the Vikings. They're just looking for a wild card spot. Seattle has to win. They're on the bubble as well. They're at 7-8, competing for a wild card spot. Washington is in at the moment due to the tie because they're 7-7-1. You know, so they're ahead of the Seahawks, Lions, and Packers who are 7-8. But I'm going to basically say Washington needs to win as well. But they don't have to, technically, because they have the tie. The Giants obviously have a tie too. It's like those come in handy this time of year. So yeah, and I would make the argument that the Buccaneers have to win, but they don't have to. You know, if that makes sense because even if the Panthers go to 7-9 and the Saints go to 7-9, and the Bucs lose this week at 7-9, all they would have to do, if I'm not mistaken, is beat the Saints next week. But if they win this week, it helps them tremendously. So I think I got all that right. It's crazy. The playoff picture is crazy right now. Thomas, I go Swift overnight. Also Knox for upside, Goddard for floor. I agree with both those statements. Tony will run Swift, kept him the entire season. It's so close, man. Luis, have Josh Allen and Evan Ingram. Question, would you start the Giants or Chargers this weekend? I would start the Giants against Nick Foles and the Colts. Yeah. The Giants have played, they've been a really good streaming defense. They haven't been a great, they're a decent defense overall. They haven't been a great fantasy defense. But, like, when you look, like, they played Chicago in week 4, 18 fantasy points. They played Washington in week 13, 10 points. They played Washington in week 15, 21 points. So, like, they've been good against bad offenses or turnover-prone offenses outside of Houston in week 10. And they get Indy this week, who Indianapolis is giving up the most points from a fantasy perspective to opposing defenses. So, I'd probably stick with them, bro. I'm not completely sold on the Chargers against the Rams. I know a lot of people are. I'm not. Go Baker. Let's see here. Tony, Goddard, Hill, Andrews. So weird. Never thought to bench Andrews. I would probably start Goddard or Hill over Andrews right now. Carlos, Fant or Waller? I'd probably stick with Waller. I do like Fant this week, but I'd probably stick with Waller. Brandon made it to the championship. Let's go. Need help starting choosing a couple different options. Full PPR. Rashad White or Monty? I would personally play Rashad White. Bills defense or Eagles? I would play the Eagles. Saints have given up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing offenses. And the Bills play the Bengals. So I see a lot of offense in that game. Suck up or Money Mac? Very, very close here. Very close. These are two game scripts where I could see the kicker being involved. The kicker having to kick field goals. These are two important games, obviously, must-win games for both teams in both these matchups. So I really don't think you can go wrong at the kicker position. I might lean Suck up because he's been a little bit better on the season, but both are fine here. Really, really tough. Steven runs our must-start kicker segment for the week. I don't know how Steven makes some of these kicker calls because I'm like, just looking at Sucka versus McPherson, I'm like, either of these guys could outscore each other so easily. It's tough. Devonta Smith or Keenan Allen? I love both this week, Brandon, but what I would say is Keenan Allen gives you that floor, gives you the safe play, right? Even against the Rams, Jalen Ramsey will float between Williams and Allen, and maybe even a little bit of Josh Palmer or Everett. You never know. Ultimately, the Rams secondary has not played well against opposing receivers. Allen is completely safe this week. But Devonta Smith is just a must-start player on a weekly basis. I don't care who he plays against, right? So, when you look at Allen, like, he's had 49 receiving yards or a touchdown in every game since his return. Since you scratch week 7 against Seattle, he's had a great season. He really has, when he's been healthy. So, last 4 games, he's had 86 or more receiving yards and 1 touchdown. So, he's been basically matchup proof. The Colts have played very well against opposing receivers. He had 104 receiving yards against them. He's just a safe play, and he still brings pretty decent upside, too. He didn't score a touchdown last night in full PPR. He had 21 fantasy points, So, Devonta Smith gives you the upside. If you go with Keenan Allen, as much as I love Devonta Smith, I think Allen's just fine here. So, hope that was helpful, Brandon. Alex, the main 2 running backs are Kamara Robinson only because of White's snap share compared to Fournette's. That's fair. You can go Kamara. You really can't go wrong there. I think that's perfectly fine. Thomas, go Hawks. Hey, I'm rooting for the Seahawks, man. I hope they get in. I'd rather watch them than the Commanders. I know that much. Carlos and PPR, Waller, Fan, and Joku, or Greg D. I'd probably just stick with Waller here. Close call. Probably stick with Waller. Any of these guys can outscore each other, though. I hate tight ends right now. I really do. Probably go with Waller. Luis, have a good night, man. Tucker, Gano. Oh, gosh. Yeah, once again, I don't know how Steven makes these calls on a weekly basis. Gano's been a beast. 14 points last week, 12 the week before. He gets the Colts. But I just feel like in the fantasy championship, you start Justin Tucker. I know he's been playing a little bit down in the last 2 weeks, but pay attention to the weather, of course. Whatever weather has the best conditions here, including cold weather, start that kicker. If you have to make a decision tonight, I probably start Justin Tucker. But it's close. Both are great plays. Really can't go wrong here. So, yeah, don't overthink it. I might just go Tucker in the championship. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are over an hour for the night. I got some editing to do. I got started a little bit later than I wanted to. Had a rough night with the baby. She is teething. She is mad. So I got started a little bit later than I wanted to tonight. I got some chores I got to do. I got work in the morning. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. But great stream tonight. You guys are super active. I really do appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you guys coming out and just talking fantasy, hanging out. It's a sad week. It's a fun week. It's the last week of fantasy for a majority of us. I'm actually playing through week 18 in one of my leagues this year, so I'm pretty excited about that. Get an extra week of fantasy. But yeah, it's a bittersweet week. I'll put it that way. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to dip a little bit earlier than I wanted to tonight. But we still got an hour and 20 minutes in, which is pretty good for the night. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. Most importantly, I appreciate the fantasy questions and you guys keeping the fantasy conversation going in the chat. And yeah, just I appreciate you guys. Love this community, man. Love the Catch fam. I really do. So that'll do it for the night. Of course, guys, must start running backs are out. Must start receivers are out. Must start defenses by Steven are out. Must start quarterbacks and tight ends will drop tomorrow. Must start kickers will drop tomorrow. That'll clear every position for you guys for the week. Go check out the videos. Might give you guys some further insight on who you want to start this week, who you want to sit. Go drop a comment. Let us know who you're starting, who you're sitting, or if you guys have any questions or anything we can do to help you guys with your lineups this week. And of course, go check out Steven's videos for the week. He'd love to hear from you guys. So that'll do it for the stream. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. Of course, if I didn't talk to you guys, hope you guys had a good Christmas and hope you guys are looking forward to New Year's weekend. So, appreciate you, Alex. Of course, man. Appreciate that Klondike. She'll be okay. She's just angry. She'll be good, though. I appreciate it, man. Thomas, have a good night, bro. I appreciate you, man. Who wins, Packers or Vikings? I'm going to say the Packers. I've said it like the last 3 weeks. I'm sticking with it. The Packers are going to the playoffs. You heard it here. Brandon, I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate the fantasy questions tonight, man. Mel, appreciate you, dog. We'll take care of the baby. She'll be okay. She'll be okay. Appreciate you, Tony. All right, guys. Smash that like on the way out. Check out the links down below if you guys are new to the channel. Join the Discord. Follow us on Instagram. Links are in the description down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and you tuned in and you didn't subscribe yet. That'll do it. So, like I said, all the videos are out for the week almost. Everything will be out by tomorrow. And I'll be on tomorrow as well for another round of Fantasy Q&A. I'll try and be on a little bit longer tomorrow. So, that'll do it. Love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch.